and welcome to this special live broadcast tonight to you from Uttarakhand in the Gochar area, an area that has seen a day of tragedy. It was already, of course, a backdrop of tragedy, and now tragedy has been compounded. There has been a massive crash involving a rescue aircraft, a Mi-17 going down. 19 people are feared dead, including Air Force personnel and officials of the National Disaster Management Agency as well as the National Disaster Response Force. The Air Force has so far found 8 bodies. The Prime Minister has joined an anguished nation in expressing his pain at what has happened. And we can confirm to you from here on the ground in Uttarakhand, having seen these operations closely and having gone up in one of these choppers to Badrinath today, that the Air Force, the Army, the private helicopters, Pavan Hans, everybody here, the heroes of Uttarakhand, are really risking their own lives to save lives. Even today, even after the crash, till the very last moment, choppers were flying in the sky, underlining what the Air Force Chief had said. The Air Force Chief had said that our rotors will not stop churning till every man and woman has been pulled out. His message of hope has come at the cost of great loss of life to his own men. And tonight, we look at the heroes of Uttarakhand and ask whether we as a people only remember our heroes at a time of crisis. My colleague Nitin Gokhale is joining me here. He's also been travelling through Uttarakhand, our defence editor. Nitin, horrible day. We're already seeing such massive tragedy unfold in every corner that we go to. We're seeing landslides, we're seeing the death toll piling up, we're seeing heartbroken relatives who are here looking for their loved ones. And we have seen the military, the ITBP, even the Border Road Organization, so many heroes here work tirelessly. And now we see the news that is coming in of the Mi-17 going down. Initially, a great deal of confusion of the number of dead. We can now confirm that 19 people feared dead. But the Air Force confirming 8 because that's the number of bodies they found. The Garuds on the ground at the moment looking for more bodies.
That's right. The latest information is that the Garuds are on the ground. They are searching for bodies. They have communication equipment, the night vision equipment. They are opening their communication sets only every half an hour or 45 minutes later. So the latest information that the Air Force had confirmed was 8 bodies found. Now, having seen the operations on ground at Gochar, you know, it's like a bus terminal right now.
It really is, because when we went up today, for example, nobody would have even known that we went up, and that's why it's been so difficult to establish, in a sense, Nitin, hasn't it, that how many people were exactly on board?
Who's coming, who's going, nobody seems to know, except for the Air Force would know their own personnel going up. And that's why the confusion. They were bringing back the NDRF personnel from Kedarnath. And let me tell you,
that's the National Disaster
Response Force. And these people are supposed to have been there for almost 6-7 days. So they were replacing one set with the other. And they were supposed to have come back. Now, nobody knows how many were coming back, because by the time they got into the Gaurikund area in the Kedar Valley, which is, any case, it was getting dark. It's been overcast throughout the day. There have been windows of opportunity, very short windows of opportunity, when Air Force pilots were taking great risks.
And sometimes the weather opens up just for 15-20 minutes.
Exactly. And
so you could find a chopper that reaches one place, but the coming back then becomes difficult. Or you could find the weather changing mid-air.
Absolutely. And the other point is that they were pushing limits because they were saving lives. Everybody felt duty-bound, irrespective of the appeal of the Air Chief. Or you looked at the Army Aviation Fellows, you looked at the BRO, the Border Roads Organization, you name them. Anybody who was there at the Gochar airfield has been doing it tirelessly and without any reward.
Any reward, any personal recognition.
Or asking for any reward,
gain.
really. There were the Army paratroopers who had gone and rescued so many people. Now, my point here is, they were actually in these valleys, narrow valleys, when we see when they say overcast skies, we actually think that, oh, the weather is fine. But for the Air Force pilot, or any pilot for that matter, that overcast sky is a blind spot. He has to drive, like if we drive blindly with our blindfolded, if you're driving a car without headlights, it's like that if you're going through the clouds. And that's exactly what happened, because they go through 2 big peaks or 2 mountains, narrow valleys, nothing to give them reference points, and they're still flying.
And when they take off, the weather may be clear, but when they have to land in that valley, the clouds may cover the valley, blocking visibility.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what I've been talking to pilots there, and they've been saying we are pushing limits. In the normal circumstances, we would not ever take these risks that we have been taking here, and that's exactly only because they want to save lives of their own citizens, of their own fellow citizens. In normal operation times, air operations would stop at least 2 hours before sundown. Here, they were flying. I saw when the news broke today.
We saw a chopper up in the sky.
Exactly.
After that, it
at
was
around
almost
7 o'clock.
So almost twilight.
Almost twilight, and dissolving into dusk. Day dissolving into dusk.
And it's in the NDRF, the National Disaster Response Force, is confirming that 9 of its boys were on board. The Air Force is saying that they found 8 bodies. The Garuds are on the ground. The Garuds are, of course, able to see in the dark.
They are able to see in the dark, and we are hoping that in the course of this bulletin itself, we might get a final figure. Nobody wants to give a wrong figure, and that's exactly why maybe there is a confusion. Air Force is sticking to 8 bodies found, 8 dead, confirmed. Whether there were more people on board, how the number gets revised, we do not know. But let's wait. I mean, this is not something that we have to really break on news channels or something, because the families will also be in an uncertain
And they first
zone.
have to tell, of course, the
kin.
to tell the families before they announce it in public. So the Air Force being very careful. The Air Force press release, in fact, only talking about the 8 bodies it has found, but Garuds which are able to penetrate and establish vision through the night darkness. At the crash site right now, the crash site, of course, was near Gaurikund. The choppers were heading towards Kedarnath, while Kedarnath was thought to have been completely evacuated. This morning, we were told, in fact, that 60 more people had been found. These included sadhus and porters. Remember that at the moment, the focus of the rescue ops has been on the yatris, the outsiders, the visitors to the state. But there are local people trapped in the upper reaches. There are sadhus, as we've been saying, and so there have been rescue ops on all day. Now, air operations have been going on in 2 major areas, Kedarnath, of course, but in the last 24 hours, air operations have also turned their attention to Badrinath. Now, Badrinath, of course, has been last in the stage of the rescue operations, because while thousands of people were actually stranded there, both yatris and local residents, there was thought to be little damage and devastation there, and that's why Badrinath was the last area to be reached. But there were thousands of people stranded. First, the ITBP created ropeways, then the army created a Burma bridge, and now air operations have set up. We bring you this report from Badrinath that really looks at not just what happened on the ground in Badrinath, but talks a little bit about the kind of risks that are being taken by the heroes of Uttarakhand every day to save lives. From 11,000 feet in the sky, despite the dark clouds, the choppy weather and the sudden bursts of rain, there is a meditative calm over the Badrinath valley. After all, just below is the Badrinath temple complex, its yellow top looking like sunshine pushing through all the grey. It is believed that here in Badrinath Valley, Lord Vishnu himself meditated, with his wife Lakshmi taking the form of a berry tree or Badri to offer him shade. Today, with the valley being ravaged by rain and destruction, that protective cover is being provided by the staggering heroism of the ITBP, the Air Force and the Army, as well as the private choppers. Their men navigate their way every day through the turbulent, unpredictable, very often hostile mountain terrain, knowing that their lives are at risk. Despite severe weather warnings, the rescue operations have continued their focus on Badrinath, an area which has remained cut off from the rest of the state, with thousands of stranded yatris and residents for the last 11 days. Initially, the evacuations were done by foot, through ingenious ropeways like this one, set up by the ITBP to connect 2 giant boulders over the Alaknanda River, or over a Burma bridge built by the army to provide a 19-kilometer pathway for pilgrims and residents to walk down. Now the air operations have kicked in. The operations have to be squeezed into a tiny window of chance provided by the otherwise cruel, unfeeling weather. For instance, as soon as this Pavan Hans chopper touches down in Badrinath, the weather has already started showing signs of packing up, but the line of those wanting to leave is endless. We are here at Badrinath where a few thousand people, pilgrims and locals included, have been stuck for the last many days. They have been safe, of course, but this area had been completely cut off from the rest of the state. Now these people are being taken out both by chopper and on foot in many cases where the army has built a Burma bridge. Let's talk to some of them. आप लोग कहाँ से आए हैं?
इंदौर मध्य प्रदेश से।
इंदौर से। और कितने दिन से हैं यहाँ पे?
हम 11 रोज हो गए।
11 रोज यहाँ पे। और यहाँ पे क्या हालात थे खाना और पीने का?
परेशानी है, बहुत परेशानी। और खिचड़ी खाए,
एक करके
खिचड़ी खाते हमारा पेट नहीं भरा था। खिचड़ी से क्या होना जाए, बच्चे को लेके ले भटक।
लेकिन बहन जी बाकी जगहों पे तो खाना पीना भी नहीं था, आप कम से कम ठीक तो थे?
ठीक तो है, पर परेशानी कितनी है, भटकते भटकते रहना पड़ता दिन।
कहाँ से आए हैं आप?
इंदौर से।
इंदौर से आए हैं। So people have come really from all over. You can see here below that there are women and children in raincoats and in rain jackets because the weather, of course, could turn bad any moment now. And we're going to try and walk down and just talk to them here and just get a sense from where they've come from. And our camera person is also just tracking us. बहन जी, आप कहाँ से आई हैं?
ग्वालियर से।
ग्वालियर से। कितने दिन से हैं यहाँ पर?
15 तारीख से।
15 तारीख से। और बच्ची थोड़ा डर लगा होगा?
लगा था, शुरू में लगा था, पर अभी तो खुशी हो।
The smile on this little girl's face is perhaps what spurs on the utter heroism of the men and women who have put their own safety aside to save thousands and thousands of lives. As news of the Mi-17 crash and the 8 tragic deaths trickles in, a spell of sadness is cast over the entire operation. But everyone knows the job must go on. Whether it's the army, the Air Force or the Pavan Hans pilots, everyone here knows what's at stake and how suddenly the weather can shift. But they still remain stoic and amazingly philosophical. Captain Paramjeet, you've been ferrying the Pavan Hans choppers up and down, along with the military choppers. What's been the biggest challenge? We've just seen the weather has packed up all of a sudden.
Yeah, you see what happens is hills is it's got a very specific and peculiar type of climate. You have, for a normal inexperienced pilot, you might see the hills covered with clouds and may not even venture out to carry out evacuation. But over a period of time, having flown about 25 years in the army and then now in the commercial flying, we know how it works, and as long as they're on the hilltops, we manage going through the valley and cover up. But then also that has got its own points. Sometimes, they start traveling depending on how the winds are blowing. They start traveling down, and like you remember, like we went to Badrinath just now, so it was all clear, and when we were turning around, it was all covered. So then we tend and remain below the clouds, get into the valley. But then knowledge of the terrain is very important. We need to know where the wires are there. There's so many high tension cables around. So basically experience, and that's what I would say.
The Air Force Chief's missive was taken literally by his men. Just yesterday he said, the rotors will not stop churning till the last man and woman are out. Don't lose hope. Hang in there. Here at Joshimath is the main military base for the Army and the Air Force to launch their rescue and evacuation operations. Even at this moment, as you can see, it's raining down. The weather has really proved to be the biggest challenger to the evacuation process. What the Army and the Air Force have to do is to literally grab a short window when the weather permits them to go in and get people out. The fear, however, is that if it rains too much, those who are being evacuated on foot will have to walk down slippery tracks. Many of them are old, many of them are in a state of shock. So as much as possible, there are attempts to evacuate by air, even in Badrinath. Sometimes the bad weather is risked because the human story is so compelling. Today, for example, a chopper was sent back all the way to Gaurikund to unite a 12-year-old child with her parents. And the aircraft has gone back to get a little child, I believe, who's been separated from her parents.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us a little bit about this family?
One family was there with a small child, around a girl, maybe around 12-13 years. Because there's so much of confusion out there, and there's no time. One after the another aircraft is coming for approach. So parents could implane the aircraft. Unfortunately, a small child could not.
But you're going to find her and bring her back.
So today we have traced the girl, and today one of our aircraft has gone there, and led by our Squadron 2IC. He has gone there, and most probably by now he must have evacuated.
These happy endings have been made possible by an unimaginable heroism, as our men and women in uniform rise to a Himalayan challenge. And when you look up at the sky, the choppers indeed are still hovering. Over the valley here in Badrinath and Kedarnath, saving lives, doing their duty, often unsung by India. In Uttarakhand with Manoj Thakur and Ruby Dhingra, Barkha Dutt for NDTV. So amazing tales of heroism there. So many heroes, more than we can count on a day when a Mi-17 has gone down. And it is believed that 19 people have died, though the Air Force has found 8 bodies. The Garuds are on the ground at the crash site near Gaurikund, trying to find out if more people have died, if perhaps any lives have been saved. But you heard the army colonel there talking about a chopper being sent back just to get one little girl, and talking about the confusion, the complete haste in which people have to be boarded, the complete panic in which they actually try and board that one plane out before the weather packs up again. And so a little girl separated from her parents, the chopper being sent back to Gaurikund just to get her back. It's for happy endings like that the heroes of Uttarakhand are really risking their lives. Tragedy compounding tragedy here. And as we said, tonight on this special broadcast coming to you live from Uttarakhand, we are paying tribute to the multiple heroes. And they're everywhere. They range from the volunteers, people who are standing on the road and offering food and water, to members of the Border Road Organization who are working 24 hours round the clock trying to repair the roads. Because remember, it's not just the sky that's hostile, it's also the road here right now. We have met thousands of people just stranded on the road for sometimes for 48 hours because the roads are blocked. What about the technicians? The technicians who are really, in a sense, the backroom boys and girls who are working overtime to make sure that the sorties are able to happen. Or even the private helicopters. They too are contributing. Nitin Gokhale now reports on the many heroes of Uttarakhand.
They are unsung and unseen, but no less effective than those at the forefront in the Uttarakhand rescue and relief operations. Technicians, private helicopter operators and Border Roads Organization workers maintain a low profile and yet do crucial work that supports and supplements the Herculean relief effort. Army Aviation Support Group, for instance, after day-long flying when the choppers return to base, these technicians work through the night, ensuring that the machines are ready to fly again, and they do it in the most adverse circumstances.
सर यहाँ फील्ड है, फील्ड के अंदर बहुत दिक्कत आती है। हमारे बेस के अंदर सभी फैसिलिटी होती है। यहाँ हमको ओपन में पोलो ग्राउंड है, रेनी सीजन है, उसमें बरसात होती है, लास्ट लैंडिंग 7 बजे बाद होती है। दिन आफ्टर हमारे पास जो स्नैक्स एंड सर्विसिंग के लिए ऑल ओवर नाइट के लिए हमको प्रिपेयर रहना पड़ता है। ऑल ओवर नाइट में नाइट TRS के हिसाब से नाइट लाइट लगा करके, लैंप्स लगा के, उन्हीं में हमको काम करना पड़ता है सुबह के लिए अर्ली टेकअप के लिए रेडी करने के लिए।
Then take the private helicopter services like Deccan Air, running a service to Hemkund Sahib from Joshimath. When the tragedy struck, the company simply decided to ferry passengers much beyond their capacity.
We had established last year the helicopter service for the Hemkund Yatra, and this year also we were running it. It just happened when this tragedy took place, we were very well placed, and all we did was convert this helicopter service for the Yatris into a public service, and we evacuated almost 1,500 Yatris, and 2,000 started walking. Right. But another catastrophe happened when the 2,000 came to the Alaknanda river. They got stranded on the other side, and then we had to do a major operation of putting across these 2,000 people from one side of the river to the other river. Because the rope bridge which was put up can only take 1 or 2 people in 10 minutes. So we put this, and this took us about a day and a half to do this. Now we're concentrating on Badrinath and maintaining the route from Badrinath to here, the land route as we know.
Finally, the most underrated outfit, the Border Roads Organization. Their contribution, no less than anyone else.
So there you see these technicians, how important they are. If they don't maintain these aircraft, these helicopters, then there wouldn't be these sorties for the stranded Yatris. At the Joshimath helipad with Manoj Thakur, Nitin Gokhale for NDTV.
So the many, many heroes, some of them recognized, some of them unrecognized, but either way, one thing's for sure. We are a people who only remember our heroes in times of crisis. And then when the crisis lapses into normalcy, we forget all about them. We forget about their problems. We forget about what they do for us. We forget about the troubles they face. Till the next crisis. We're going across now to my colleague Tanima Biswas. She has been reporting in Harsil, that's an area beyond Uttarkashi, and she spent time in a relief camp. Except, who set up this relief camp? Well, it was actually an army museum that has become a de facto relief camp.
Time for people at this camp to retire, and the army has made makeshift arrangements for people to spend the night, to sleep over here. This was actually the museum at this army camp, which has been vacated in order to accommodate people who are going to spend the night over here. Around 50 odd people, in fact more than 50 people can in fact spend the night here. We will just go across and speak to some people. Madam, आप बताइए आप लोग कहाँ से आए हैं?
We are from Nainital. Yeah. My name is Shivani and I'm here since 2 days, and we were actually in the place nearby. It's named Jhala Gaon. So we were there since last 8 days when the waterfall came over here on 15th round. So we were here since then, and till then the roads are all blocked. We are here in hope that he's my brother. Yeah, he's my brother and they are my relatives. Means she's my mommy and they are my nanny.
So, I mean, you have to sleep over here?
Yeah, we are sleeping over here. We are fine and everything is okay. They are helping us in any way they can. They have given us the whole library they gave. They are giving us the food facilities. They are giving us these blankets. We were not having anything because if either we could save ourselves or we could save the bag. So we were in the condition to save ourselves for most. So we are here in hope that they will take us out.
You must be very anxious to get back home. So do you have a good night's?
Because everyone, since they are listening to news, everyone over there is worried that where the people are, wherever they are.
Do you have a good night's sleep? Can you sleep well over here? I mean, because of the anxiety to get back?
Obviously anxiety is there, but moreover there is first of all the weather. If the weather will not favor us, we cannot leave the place. So there is tension, of course.
So otherwise you're sleeping well?
Yeah, no problem is there. They are supporting us, they are helping us.
How many people in your family?
We are here 6 people. 2 of us are in our house.
Right, thank you for talking to us. Several people with families stuck over here, but they have a shelter, roof over their head. The army has in fact vacated all the rooms in which the Jawans were actually staying. That has been vacated to keep all these people, including this space, which is a museum.
So Tanima Biswas there reporting from Harsil about how an army museum library has now become a relief camp. And on this program tonight, we are tributing the heroes of Uttarakhand on a day when a Mi-17 rescue chopper has gone down on its way back from Kedarnath via Gaurikund, and 19 people are feared dead. The Garuds are on the ground. We are going to bring you fresh updates on a day of tragedy, compounding tragedy in Uttarakhand. Now, much of the media narrative has looked at the stories of those who came in as pilgrims, as yatris. The stranded yatri has been, in a sense, the main headline. Those who came to pray and many of whom never made it back. But what of those who are residents, the locals of Uttarakhand, who have suffered as well? Many people believe, there are many insects here, we're out in the opens. As I was saying, many people believe that the full story of the tragedy of these local population here has not even been told yet. For example, thousands of the local residents are registered as Kacharwalas, the ponies that take you up the narrow tracks when you go on a yatra, whether you go to Badrinath or Kedarnath or Hemkund Sahib. And now, once you go into the interior villages, you find that families are saying that these Kacharwalas never came home. There is absolute confusion as to how many may be missing among the 3,500 registered Poniwalas and Kacharwalas. Let's go across live now to my colleague Radhika Bodia. She's joining me tonight from a village at an area called Ukhimat, which is along the Kedarnath route, of course, but the road to Kedarnath, as we know, is closed. This is somewhere en route. Radhika, you've been looking at the fact that many of these interior villages are telling the stories of unspeakable suffering among the local residents.
It took us 8 hours to reach Ukhimat. A journey
All right, we seem to have...
That should take us only about 6
I think we're back with her. Radhika, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right, we're losing the audio link. Yes, I can hear you. I'm not sure if Delhi is able to hear you, but let's just give it a try. Radhika, go ahead.
Well, Barkha, I was saying that we are in Ukhimat. It took us 8 hours to get here. It should have been a journey that should have taken us not more than 2 hours. When we arrived, we confronted the kind of tragedy that even we were not prepared for. I've just come back from a village called Kimana. It took me 8 hours to get there, and what we found there was 19 people dead. 19 people in just one small village. And as you mentioned, the ponies, the kacharwalas, as they make their way up to Kedarnath, they found that many of their men have died, and that's the report we bring you.
As they pause for some rest and water for their ponies, Veer Bahadur recounts how his group miraculously survived. Ever since he was 18, he has worked his mules on the Kedar and Badri pilgrimage routes.
इस वक्त आपके और आपके खच्चर केदारनाथ में थे?
हाँ, केदारनाथ में।
फिर क्या हुआ?
फिर वहाँ बाढ़ आई, बाढ़ से हम नीचे को आ गए।
आप लोग सुरक्षित थे सब कोई?
हाँ, हम सुरक्षित थे।
These are sturdy men used to hardships, but even they have been stunned this time by the sheer force of nature's fury. And now with little time to recover, they're anxious about their future survival.
आपको क्या लगता है ऐसा हादसा आपने पहले कभी तो देखा नहीं होगा?
ऐसा तो देखा नहीं जी कभी हमने।
There are no official figures for how many porters have died or gone missing, but one can estimate the scale of the tragedy from the fact that 3,500 mules are officially registered on the Kedarnath route, each led at least by one porter, either from Nepal or local boys from villages on the pilgrimage routes.
आप लोगों के इतने सारे जो लोग थे वहाँ पर खच्चर लेके कोई लोग मारे भी गए?
बहुत मरे जी, कोई पता नहीं, इतने आदमी मर गए, कोई पता नहीं, घोड़ा मरे, खच्चर मरे।
More evidence of the loss comes when relatives and friends of the missing men speak to us of their desperate search for their missing men. They know they do not figure in the priorities of rescue operations.
तो ये नाम आपको सिर्फ उनके नाम मिले, आप ये ढूंढ रहे हैं?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, ढूंढ रहे हैं। अभी 2 चक्कर, तीसरा चक्कर है हमारा उनको ढूंढने के चक्कर में, क्योंकि वहाँ तो आगे जान नहीं दिया जा रहा है। बहुत ज़्यादा खच्चर वाले फंस गए थे और कोई उनका इंतजाम भी नहीं किया गया लाने का। जो लोकल लोग रहे उनको ज़्यादा छोड़ दिया गया उधर, कुछ पता भी नहीं लग पा रहा है। कुछ पता नहीं, नंबर वाले तो उठा ही नहीं रहे, कोई उठा रहा है, कोई नहीं उठा रहा। कोई कह रहा ठीक है वहाँ कंट्रोल रूम देहरादून बात करो, कोई कह रहा हमारी ड्यूटी नहीं है।
The plight of these relatives and their missing men right across this region tells a much wider story of the immense loss, grief and devastation that is being felt by the people of Uttarakhand, a story they feel no one is willing to listen to. In Ukhimat with camera person Sudesh Kumar Ram, Radhika Bodia for NDTV.
All right, Radhika Bodia there reporting from Ukhimat on the plight of the local populations, reaching an interior village where she found that 19 people in that village had actually died. And then, of course, the question mark over how many of those poniwalas, the kacharwalas, are actually missing. So time to turn also our attention on the suffering among the local residents. So tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. News now coming in from my colleague Sudhir Ranjan saying that the ITBP is now confirming, I think that six of its men were on board. And then we're also getting confirmation, Nitin, at this moment from the NDRF, the National Disaster Response Force, that 9 of its boys were on force, and we know now that the Air Force had 5 of its people on board. Right. So I think this is adding up now to a confirmation that 19 people are dead.
In fact, 20 now if you go by
20,
9
going
plus
by the
6,
numbers, yeah.
9 plus 6, 15 plus 5 of the Air Force. So we'll again, as I said, Air Force has said that wait for the numbers to come. But tragic in any case, because these people...
Terrible tragedy, unspeakable tragedy.
And it's spread across the forces. It's not just one force or one organization. It is across the forces. NDRF is a new force, National Disaster Response Force, trying to find its feet. I think they were doing a great job in Kedarnath and other places. ITBP, of course, is on ground here in Uttarakhand. And most unsung heroes in most cases, because we seem to always see Air Force or the Army, which again does a great job. In this case, I think it's very tragic what has happened. All our hearts go out to them. I guess they rest in peace.
Actually, there are no words. We can only offer prayers and salutes tonight. And let's introduce our guest tonight. We're joined by General Patankar. He's joining us tonight. We're also joined by Namita Gokhale. She's a well-known author, but she's also from Uttarakhand. And we're hoping to connect very soon to Air Vice Marshal M. Bahadur, as well as actor Nawazuddin Siddiqui, who is from this area. Let me start with you, General Patankar. You are somebody who has also flown rescue missions, apart from being a very high-ranking officer of the Indian Army. Your first thoughts tonight?
Actually, my mind goes back to the many casualty evacuation missions that I was involved in, and I find that this is the spirit lives on. The kind of responses that the aviators are giving, whether they are from Pawan Hans or the Air Force or the Army Aviation boys, their mission is and their response really speaks for the spirit in which we've been operating all these years and will continue to operate. Because you really stick your neck out when you are on a rescue mission, whether it's casualty evacuation or simple rescue of people who are stranded on mountain tops. At times, even skiers who've been stuck on very treacherous slopes with heavy snow have been rescued by chopper pilots, just hanging by a sheer thread, as it were. So I know the kind of challenges and the kind of risks these boys are taking, and the weather that you mentioned, it's entirely the biggest challenge in the mountains. Particularly, one moment you will have visibility up to 1 kilometer or more, and the next moment you will find that it will drop down to 50 meters. So that is the greatest challenge, and my heart really goes out to that chopper, its passengers and its crew who couldn't make it.